this Wednesday, December 3rd, meeting of the Municipal Audit Committee to order.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Here.
Adams,
Here.
Avis,
Here.
Golodzinski,
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Thank you. Now we would like to elect the chair of the committee, please, if we have any nominations.
I nominate Linda.
Thanks, Thor, and I accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jeff said yes.
Head nods? You're voting. Thank you. And Chair Adams, would you mind reading the land acknowledgement,
Yes, I
please?
will.
Thank you.
We acknowledge and honor the Aboriginal people on whose ancestral homelands we work, the Iroquois Band of the Shasta Nation, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here today. We honor the first stewards in the Rogue Valley and the lands we love and depend on, tribes with ancestral lands in and surrounding the geography of the Ashland watershed include the original past, present, and future indigenous inhabitants of the Shasta, Tacoma, and Athabascan people. We also recognize and acknowledge the Shasta village of Quakaka, where the crow lights, that is now the Ashland City Plaza. Thank you, everyone, for being here in this wonderful place that we live in. I'm looking for approval of the minutes of the Audit Committee of October 7th, 2024, and the Audit Committee meeting of December 10th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I move to approve the Audit Committee meetings of October 7th, 2024 and December 10th, 2024.
Can I have a second?
All second.
Roll call?
Aye.
Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce our auditors from Baker Tilly. We have Amanda Moore and Kim Reno, who will present the City of Ashland Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as well as the management letter, and they're going to be joining us via Zoom.
Are you ready for us?
Welcome,
Yes.
Amanda.
Thank you. Are we able to screen? We have a presentation. Can you see that okay on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I will kick us off. I'm Amanda Moore. I'm a principal with now Baker Tilly, formerly Moss Adams. And we're here today to present the audit results for the City of Ashland's financial statements. And I'll let Kim do a little introduction, and then she's going to get us started.
Yes, I'm Kim Reno. I thought I'd show our picture here. I'm a senior manager, work with Amanda in our Metford office, worked on the City of Ashland, I think, for a number of years now. And first, I'll go over the agenda. So this is kind of a brief overview of what we're going to discuss today. We'll talk about the engagement team, the services that we provided to the city, the critical audit areas, the opinions and reports, which is probably the most important and why you are all here, any internal control related matters and our required communications to those charged with governance, which is you guys, and then upcoming new standards. So jumping back to this engagement team slide, as Amanda mentioned, she's the principal on the job, so it's her responsibility to sign the report, oversee the audit from start to finish. I help her out with kind of reviewing some of the different areas, do a first pass review, as well as making sure that the audit gets completed and completed on time. And then what you don't see here is a number of supporting team members that help us out coming from our Medford, Eugene, and Portland offices. And we also had a couple individuals this year that also joined us from our India office. Okay. So the next one is the nature of the services provided. So this is all the services that we provided to the city this year. So the first one is auditing of the city's financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. And then because the city is also a municipality, we also do it in accordance with governmental auditing standards. And then we assisted with the technical review of the annual comprehensive financial report. So that very long document is about 200 pages long. This year we helped draft it, at least the front parts of it. And then Miranda helped us with the note disclosures and then did a whole review of the financial statements. And we reviewed those for compliance with generally accepted accounting principles, or also known as GAAP, as well as the GFOA Certificate of Excellence, which is something that you guys get every year and is included in your financial statement.
Excuse me,
And
Kim.
then-
Could
yeah.
you make the presentation full screen mode? I think there's a little paper icon in the top bar
Paper icon.
next to the Zoom function.
This one?
Yeah, I think if you click that.
Maybe this? Is that helpful?
Well, I think if you click that paper, there should be a full screen option.
Are you talking about within the PDF, or are you talking within Zoom? Because
Within the PDF.
yeah, I have it set there. So I think it is full screen. So I think maybe it's a Zoom setting, maybe.
Sorry, it's so
Showing-
small I can't see the icons from where I am. But I know there's a button within to make it full screen. We'll get rid of the edges of the screen.
Oh, let's see.
It's not a Zoom feature. It's in the Adobe.
Maybe. Let me know.
Oh, I think I see it towards the bottom. Full screen mode, right below read mode.
Right below read mode.
Keep going down a little bit, Kim.
Yeah, right there. Full
Oh.
screen mode.
That's good.
Does that help?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, just a little small face.
Okay. No worries. And for me, it's huge. So thank you for stopping me so that you guys can actually see what we're presenting. So the next one is number 3, which is talking about compliance of Oregon minimum standards. Because the city is an Oregon municipality, we also perform procedures in regards to the Oregon minimum audit. So we look at procurement standards and budget law and test those. And then this last one, number 4, is the single audit of federal grant programs under uniform guidance. So this year, as you can see here, it says that it's on hold. And Amanda will touch briefly on that in a few slides. We have performed a number of our procedures already with the single audit, but that one has not been issued yet. And then number 5 here is really just the reporting. So we discuss kind of the overall audit plan as well as the audit results, and then communicate any internal control findings and issues of non-compliance, and that's what we're here to do today. So this slide is our critical audit areas. So this in no way is everything that we audit, but these are kind of the areas that we've identified that are more risky in nature, either due to their complexity or their size or their intricacy of the disclosures in the financial statements. So this first one is internal controls in the IT environment. So you guys have various IT environments, and we need to understand how those kind of work together to get an understanding of where errors or could occur. We also review cash and investments. So we will confirm with third-party financial institutions, and then we also review your guys' internal control procedures around that, and then also test any reconciling items on your cash reconciliation. This next one is revenues and receivables. So we do different procedures with these analytics, some confirmations, and some what we call test of details, which is actually testing to the underlying support of these items. This next item is capital assets. So we look at your guys' fixed assets, obtain a roll forward, and then test any material additions or deletions in the current year. For long-term debt, we kind of review this it's similar to cash by confirming and then also looking at your guys' agreements with your debt. Accrued liabilities, we obtain your guys' actuarial reports, test the inputs to those that get sent to the actuary, as well as vouching those to the financial statements and disclosures. For grants, we test those kind of two-pronged, both in the single audit, but then also as an item within the financial statements on the revenue side. And then financial close and reporting, we look at your internal controls, basically how everything comes together to produce your guys' financial statements. And then as I mentioned with Oregon minimum standards, we look at your guys' compliance related to those. And I will hand it over to Amanda.
So like Kim said, that by no means is that everything that we do is part of our audit process, but that was just a high level view of some of the areas where we spend the majority of our time. And when we're asking for documentation to test your balances and accounts in the financial statements, we just like to at least give a high level view of where we spend the majority of our time. So at the end of our audits, we issue typically 3 or 4 reports. As Kim mentioned, I'll talk a little bit about the uniform guidance report in a second, but we have issued 3 audit reports. And I guess I'd just like to start by giving a kudos to your team. I think this is the earliest that it's been issued, at least since we've been working with the city. So there was a real push to get that done ahead of the holidays and get that filed on time. Not that you've had any issues filing on time, but definitely it's always nice to get that done early. So nice work to your team this year. With our reports, the first one is over your financial statements and whether based on all of our testing, were we able to get comfortable that the balances are materially correct. And we issued a unmodified or clean opinion over the financial statements. So overall, great results there. For the Oregon minimum standards report, so there's a couple items that could get reported in this report. One of them is over internal controls over financial reporting. So if we identified some sort of internal control deficiency, which essentially means some sort of error could slip through the cracks, we have to evaluate that and determine whether or not it's a reportable finding in that report. Additionally, Kim touched on a number of requirements that we have to test under the Oregon revised statutes and Oregon administrative rules. Some of those items include budget law as well as procurement testing, how you invest your investments. There's a number of compliance requirements that we have to test there. And as a result of our audit, we had no reportable findings over internal controls or compliance with those Oregon requirements. The next report is our governmental auditing standards report. Again, this is very similar to the Oregon report, is that if we identified any of the control deficiencies were reportable, so a significant deficiency or material weakness in financial reporting, it would be included in this report, and you'll see on the slide there we have no reportable findings. The uniform guidance report, this is related to your federal awards. Because you spend more than $750,000 in federal awards, you are subject to a single audit under uniform guidance. The reason why that has not yet been completed is because the OMB did not release the compliance supplement on time this year. And it was further delayed due to the government shutdown. It has recently been issued, so we will start getting back into getting all of our single audits wrapped up. However, that being said, we did complete all of the testing that we needed to over the program we tested this year, which was an ARPA award. So we did complete that testing, and our results did not identify any compliance findings or any deficiencies in internal controls over compliance. We did have a draft of the compliance supplement that we use in order to complete the single audit, and when the final one had just been recently released, we compared that to what was issued, and there was no significant changes. So we will be able to move forward, and we expect to issue a clean report over your uniform guidance. You just don't report in your hands just yet. So overall, really good results for the city this year. You can go to the next slide. So in addition to the reports that we sign and include within your financial statement package, we also issue a letter to those charged with governance So this is just a letter that highlights some important information that occurs during the audit or highlights some important information that's included within your financial statements. And it's just meant to provide you a bit of a guide with some additional information related to the audit process. The first one is if we had any sort of change in planned scope or timing, that is something we would be communicating with you. We clearly were able to complete the audit on time. Management did a really good job at getting us all of the information that we need in order to be able to do that. And as I mentioned, we actually were able to complete that a little bit earlier than planned this year. The one potential scope change that may have occurred since the signing of the engagement letter was related to the assistance that we provided in putting the financial statements together. With some staff turnover in the finance department, management needed some assistance in putting those financial statements together. And so we were able to assist management in doing that. We do have to be careful about maintaining independence when we are providing assistance with drafting the financial statements, but knowing your team and their skills, knowledge, and experience in working with your comprehensive annual report in the past, we were comfortable that we were able to do that. Management judgments and estimates. So within your financial statements, there are a number of balances that do involve management having to have estimates. And so we just like to point those out. Areas such as capital assets and your useful lives over capital assets and how those are depreciated is one. Clearly, your OPEB and pension accounts are based on significant estimates that involve actuaries. And then one that was probably a little bit more significant this year was the allowance for on your accounts receivable balances in your utility funds. So we know that management has been working over the past few years to develop a good estimate for those receivables and had that included this year. Within that, just a couple other minor items that we highlight with accounting estimates is you did have to implement a new accounting standard this year, which was GASB 101 over compensated absences. Under this new accounting standard, you had to evaluate compensated absences for all types of leave. So historically, it's just been on vacation accruals. But under the new guidance, you did have to develop an estimate of those compensated balances, incorporating sick leave and determining whether it was more likely than not that was going to be used. So that did result in a change this year, as well as involve some estimates. And then the last one is over the past couple of years, you've had to implement the new accounting standards related to leases and subscription-based IT arrangements. Those do involve estimates and coming up with an interest rate and how long you will amortize those assets for. And so those do involve some estimates as well. The next item is related to corrected or uncorrected misstatements. So it's mentioned as past adjustment here on the slide. When we are performing our audit, we do set materiality thresholds. We don't test every transaction. We do select samples and perform our testing. When we are doing that, if we identify an error that is considered to be material, management is required to make that adjustment in order to still obtain a clean opinion over the financial statements. And if we were to provide management with a material error, we would be required to communicate that to you. We don't have any material corrections that management had to make in order for you to obtain your clean opinion. Now, there are additional adjustments that are below materiality that management can decide not to record, and you can still receive a clean opinion. These are immaterial adjustments. However, we do set thresholds on when we will still communicate those to those charged with governance. So we do have two types of past adjustments in the current year. One of them is related to a prior year past adjustment. So whenever there is an error in a prior year, we do still have to evaluate that impact on the current year beginning net position. And that actually was related to the allowance and write-offs on your accounts receivable. So that is one of the types that was considered to be a past adjustment. The second one is related to the implementation of GASB 101. This one's kind of unique because the accounting standards specifically say that you don't need to record an adjustment to beginning that position if it is not material. Your adjustments were not material. Management chose to run those through their current year. That is what the accounting standards say. So they did that correctly. The only reason it is getting elevated to communicate to you is because our audit standards say, while it's immaterial, we needed to highlight that there was a new accounting standard, and had management posted an adjustment to the beginning of the year, then this is what the adjustment would be. So that is what is related to that one. And that's specifically related to a change in accounting principle. So not to say what management did was wrong, there's just a little bit of a discrepancy on what the accounting standards say versus what our audit standards say that we have to communicate. And that is specifically related to that implementation of that new accounting standard. A couple other things are just more of an FYI. If we identified these things, we would communicate them to you. So if management was consulting with other accountants because they disagreed with some sort of accounting policy or audit procedure we were performing, we would let you know that we were aware that management performed that. And the importance of that is that if another accountant was to come to a different conclusion, we would just need to be introduced and make sure that we all have the same facts and circumstances, but we're not aware of management doing that. If we had any disagreements with management, we would communicate those to you, and we have none to report. And if we had any difficulties in performing the audit, we would communicate those to you, and we did not have anything to report there. So that really covers the bulk of how the audit went and our conclusions over the audit for 2025. This next slide here is just a kind of an informational slide on some new accounting pronouncements that are effective. So there were two. I already talked a bit about GASB 101. Management had to implement that in the current year. It did result in a change in your financial statements and how you account for compensated absences. GASB 102 was also effective for this year, but it did not have an impact to the financial statements. It is related to certain risk disclosures only, so it would only impact your note disclosures. If you had some sort of concentration or constraint that was going to potentially have a negative impact to the city over the next year. The next two standards are GASB 103 and GASB 104. Management will have to implement these standards next year. GASB 104, there's not a lot under that one in order to implement. It is related to how capital assets are presented in the financial statement notes, and specifically related to your leases and SPIDAs and how those should be reported. So probably won't be a significant change. I do want to highlight GASB 103. GASB 103 is something that I would highly recommend getting started on early. There will be a significant change to how your MD&A, your management discussion and analysis, is presented. And it's typically the last thing that's drafted as part of putting together your financial statement package. It involves a lot of work to really put the details and analysis around why certain accounts increased or decreased over the year. And this new standard makes a lot of improvements to the MD&A and the requirements of what is included in there, as well as structurally just the organization of it as a whole. So I would say that would be something that I would consider jumping on early and at least getting some of the formatting done ahead of audit time, just so that you'll be able to start putting that together under that new model. And with that, we just want to say thank you for having us here today, and we'll be happy to answer any questions if you have anything over how the audit went this year.
Jeff?
Nope.
Any questions? Well, thanks for all your hard work and for the team being able to present a financial report to you that gets a clean audit. We're good.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Amanda, for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks, everyone.
One thing that I would like to mention also is my sincere gratitude. failed to introduce Miranda Iwamoto, who is our accounting manager, at the beginning of the meeting. So her team did a tremendous amount of work being short-staffed in accomplishing a clean audit. It's a giant amount of work, and I'm so proud of them.
I just wanted to also say thank you, Amanda and Kim. I'm just so appreciative of you guys drafting the financial statements, helping us out with our current staffing situation. So you guys were a pleasure to work with, and I learned so much, and thank you.
Yeah.
We'll
It's our
probably,
pleasure.
we'll probably
Thank
see
you.
you, if not next year, the year after.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, do we have presentation of the management letter, or is that it?
That was part of what they
That was
were
part of it?
discussing. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So any other report from the staff?
No report from staff. The last item is the motions and then signing of the annual audit letter, please.
Since there is no public input,
There's no public input.
Okay.
Thank you.
and no more questions, make sure you don't have any questions. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to accept the fiscal year 2025 City of Ashland Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as presented. Sharice, would you like to make that motion?
Never done it before, but I file a motion.
See, I move.
Oh, I move. Yes. Oh. I move to accept the fiscal year 2025 City of Ashland Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Morris,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes?
Davis,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're good. I thought we'd be here all night, but, I call this meeting of the Municipal Audit Committee, the City of Ashland, to adjourned.
Thank you all for your volunteering.
I thought we were going to have, huh?